Good evening. Before we start tonight's program, time for a disclaimer in the sense that we remind you to please consult your doctor, your mental health professional, your outreach group, your sponsor, or specialist before adopting any change to your dietary, physical, and or mental health regime. This episode will address various topics related to addiction and other physical health. So these topics may be sensitive to some of our viewers. Viewer discretion is advised. We remind you that if you're looking for options with respect to mental health, contact SAMHSA, the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration, at 1-800-662-HELP. It's 1-800-662-4357. The service is open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year, and is a confidential free information service for individuals and family members facing such stressors. Importantly, if you're feeling suicidal crisis or emotional distress and need to be put in touch with a crisis center, please call the Suicide Prevention Lifeline at 1-800-273-TALK. That's 1-800-273-8255. Or go to suicidepreventionlifeline.org. You can also text the word HOME to 741-741. Those resources are also available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. And then I'd be remiss not to talk about the thing that has been part of my life for the last, I would say, the better part of 9 months now, in that of the onset of multiple sclerosis. Basically, it's been paramount in my mind and heart because I had the demyelination back in 2010, 2011. Thought it was a one event and basically lived my life without feeling the sort of nuances and sort of mental and physical stress and mental and physical disease that multiple sclerosis brings. In late 2020, I spent New Year's Eve in a hospital with basically the effects of a flare-up. And in January, subsequently, I was diagnosed with MS. So an organization that's been very near and dear to me is the National MS Society. And they are a collective of passionate individuals who want to do something about MS now, to move together towards a world free of multiple sclerosis. Multiple sclerosis is comprised of unpredictable and often disabling flare-ups of the central nervous system. Such flare-ups disrupt the flow of information within the brain and between the brain and the body. The National MS Society is the largest private funder of MS researchers in the world, investing more than $1 billion to date. MS stops people from moving, but the National MS Society exists to make sure that MS doesn't. To contact the National MS Society, please call 1-800-344-4867. Once again, 1-800-344-4867, or go to their website at nationalmssociety.org. Also of note, we are still raising money for the National MS Society through a Venture to a Cure's fundraising page at rebrand.ly/a venture to a cure. Once again, rebrand.ly/a venture to a cure. This page was created in conjunction with the virtual MS Walk that took place on May 1st. This effort will last through the end of September. Thank you for all of you. Thank you to all of you who have donated money to this amazing organization. It touches me and over the 1 million people in this country that have multiple sclerosis in so many ways. And we appreciate all of you. And on that, let's begin. Tonight, we talked to someone I got to know over the last year that has really proven to me what an infectious can-do attitude can do for one's health and one's sobriety. She just celebrated her 15 months of sobriety just the other day. And tonight, she's going to talk about what it is to be sober and to have a healthier lifestyle and to go forward. Because this is the Venture Forward. Good evening, or good morning, or good afternoon, whoever you may be, and welcome to the Venture Forward. I am John Venturini, a recovering addict of overeating, obesity, alcoholism, and compulsive gambling, and it is an honor and pleasure to see all of you on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch this evening. This has been a very wild journey that I've been on over the last 30 some odd months, but some of the most amazing people come into your purview, your life, your recovery over the time that you are basically fighting the fight every day. One day at a time, one step at a time, one foot in front of the other. Tonight, we're talking to someone that has definitely epitomizes that in that of Jaimie Rose. Her story is very, very impressive, very, very telling, but very, very inspirational as well. I was trying to find very inspirational as well. So that said, I just want to say hello to all of you on YouTube. Marilyn, how are you? Hope you're doing well. We got Paul. We got Dez. Dez, how are you, my friend? Hope you're doing well. We got Brad over on YouTube. And we got Saren over on YouTube as well. But I think on that, let's bring on our guest. Jaimie, how are you?
Of course. I was muted, I think.
I've been having issues with that. When I go into two panel, it's on mute, and I try to bring the person over, and they're talking. It's like, what's something going? Oh, they're on mute. So, how you doing?
No, I'm just kidding. I was going to pretend I was on mute for a little while longer, but
that's fine.
I can't hold the bit.
I mean, I could probably go another 90 seconds, and then I'll start. It's like, what's going on? I thought, oh, okay.
Just boot me off. Show's canceled.
No. Brad says, hey, JV, how goes it, brother? It's going well, Brad. Thank you very much. And Brad says, hello, Jaimie, my newest favorite hero.
What up, Brad?
You know, I got to say that Brad's not only is not alone in that mindset. You are a hero to me, too.
If you see this face when I get compliments, it'll happen just about every time. I'm still working on receiving compliments, but thank you. You're a hero to me too.
Thank you.
I guess, yeah. So,
it's really interesting how a lot of our stories basically have the same sort of parallels in the sense that we end up in the grips of addiction, not only from our own selves, but the environments that we are in and whatnot. And I guess let's start there. Tell us about where you're from and tell us a little bit about you.
sure. So I live in Maine right now, but I grew up on the West Coast. So spent the first 19 years of my life in Sacramento area. That's what I say because no one knows where I actually grew up. And I moved to Maine in 2013, and
Mm.
I've been here ever since. So, I mean, I go back and see my family like once every year and a half, 2 years. So, and I've just kind of been going to school and figuring out life, really.
I think it's something, especially when you move from one coast to the other, it's something that you're trying to figure out what the sort of new existence is, what are some of the new things that you're doing, so on and so forth. So I totally understand that.
Mm. Yeah.
I think, with respect to, your childhood or your adolescence as well, I mean, by the way, first and foremost, congratulations on your sobriety. 15 months is absolutely outstanding. And again, the term hero is definitely something I resonate to with you. You definitely are a hero. But I would say, when did it start? And then moreover, what was, I guess, the breaking point for you?
Like my drinking or my
Mm-hmm.
problem.
Yeah.
So it was never something like that I did during high school or anything like that. Like sometimes my friends and I would like steal my mom's stuff because she would be too wasted to remember. There would be stuff like in the fridge for weeks, and we'd be like, we could take that, it's fine. Here and there, on and off, and I'd always try to find people to like find stuff for me, but I didn't know the right wrong people, I guess, because I really did never super get into it until like probably 17. The
Mm-hmm.
first time that I ever drank, like really drank, I drank alcoholically, like bad. So it was my 17th birthday, and one of my friends was like, hey, we're gonna go over to so and so's house and just have some Chinese food, and for your birthday it'll be a good time. So I'm like, all right, that sounds great. So we get to this house in the middle of like the suburbans, and there's like houses are like right on top of each other, and it's like a raging house party. I'm like, and the worst part was there's no Chinese food, so I was like, this is okay. So I get in there and I'm like, people are just handing me drinks, so of course like I'm gonna drink them, and like it didn't take long, and I was messed up like really quickly, and within like, well, my time frame from that too, like gone. I don't even remember a lot of it. What I remember is like all of a sudden you just hear the cops are here, and we're like,
Oh
oh
boy.
no. Because this couple that was at the party was like, they were in a fight, and one of the guys got mad and he punched the garage door, and a lot of garage doors, like, they sound pretty bad when you punch them. So someone was like, oh yeah, that sounded like a gunshot, we're gonna call the cops. So my friend Danielle and I literally are like hand in hand, and we're like, we gotta run, and like slow mo, like someone clotheslines our arms, and she goes this way towards the backyard, I go to the front yard, and I'm like, oh my god, what do I do, what do I do? Like, I've never, I've only been picked up by the cops one other time, like I don't know what to do. So my silly thinking was to hide under a Nissan Xterra. I don't know if you guys know that, but those are pretty high up cars, and literally right outside the house. And so I'm laying there, and it feels like it's been hours, and it's probably only been 5 minutes, let's be honest. And all of a sudden you just hear the cop go, oh, found another one. Like, yeah. So I'm like waiting. They're like, call my parents, and my mom comes and picks me up, and she thinks it's hilarious, like,
Mm-hmm.
because all I could do is be like, I'm so sorry, I'm so sorry, like I knew I was going to get in a lot of trouble, like I'm so sorry. And my one of my best friend's dad's yelling at me, he's like, you F up, like you're never going to see my friend again, you're such a low life, like just yelling at me. I'm like, I can't stop crying. And so like, and this was just like the day before school was supposed to start too, so like the
Mm-hmm.
first day of school, it's like the talk of the town, like everyone's like, nice party last night. So I got made fun of for hiding under her car. And then the most ironic part, especially today, was that I had to take 4 like AA counseling classes from it. So I'm like rolling up to these meetings like, what the heck? This is such a joke. Like, wow. And I'm like, so that was like the first time I ever
Mm-hmm.
drank, and it was a big one. Like like really. So it's not funny, but it's funny also sometimes to look back and kind of laugh at it, like, wow.
Yeah, you think about those sort of moments, and you realize, well, when all the you know what hits the fan and people are running and scurrying around and whatnot, it's like, oh, well, that's something to be said for sure. Uh, LT is joining us from Utah. How are you, LT? Hope you're doing well out there. And Jim over on YouTube. Sorry
Sup,
he's a little late,
guys?
but was a long, hot work day.
Oh, thanks for tuning in. You guys all make it look so easy, just like on the camera. It's like a little bit of an adrenaline rush, to be honest, because I'm like,
Yeah, I'm nervous. I'm tongue tied. I've been doing this almost a year. I'm still tongue tied doing this.
well, you hide it very well.
Oh, do what I can. I also there's also a corollary to that in the sense that I can't drink too much caffeine before I do one of these.
Mm.
If I have too much caffeine, then I'm too jittery, and then words start going all over the place, and you know disclaimers and pre-rolls end up taking like 5 or 6 cuts before you're done with them. It's like, oh my god.
Yeah, I had switched to decaf. Oh, actually, I had quit caffeine once for like a couple weeks, and then like reintroduced some caffeine, and like literally after not having it for a couple weeks, I felt high, and then I was talking like 40 miles a minute, like an auctioneer, like about even probably nothing. So yeah, I
Were
feel
you
you.
able to sell cattle? Were you talking that fast?
Only a couple. It was an honest day's work.
Uh, Jim says hope you and Phillies hope LT and Phillies are feeling better. So I
Yes.
definitely passed that on as well. I know you're dealing with a lot over there, and we hope you're doing well for sure. And then we also have Sarah joining us on YouTube, who is late. And that's all right. Did you bring donuts? Because when you're late, you have to bring donuts. That's the rule. Good to see you, Sarah, for sure. Um, so we talk about alcoholism, we talk about, the sobriety and whatnot. What other sort of things? So we think about the term cross addiction, but also co addiction and codependency. Growing up, did you find that to be a major factor in your sort of sense of these are the things that are on these are the things that are going on around me, but then moreover, these are the things that can be a danger to me?
Growing up, no, I didn't really reflect like that, I guess. I didn't notice a lot of things until later on in life. Honestly, like, I think my growing up was just kind of like surviving my situation. There was not a lot of time to think about, like, my bad habits. To me, they were all survival tools. And yeah, no, so I recognize a lot of them today, like my coping mechanisms, like food and finding out like what it means that I'm codependent and also an ACOA, adult child of an alcoholic.
Mm-hmm.
Like, so no, not much I noticed growing up, except maybe I guess I've always eaten a lot of food. that's uh, that's always been something.
Jim says, "Hey guys, if we work hard in our recovery while others won't, someday we will have the life that others can't." Says Jimbo.
Hmm. Yep, it's a good reason that I fight for like I said, a lot of people who haven't never made it or never do make it. You know.
And a brief update from Sarah: she does not have donuts.
Darn.
Yeah, it's okay. And then we also have Matt Hosh joining us over on YouTube and the awesome Wood Things. He's here now. Can we start over, please? Haha, just kidding. I mean, I could
Sure,
roll the credits and everything again if you want. I mean, why not? No, I'm just kidding. Uh,
we owe that to him. Yeah.
I think I think about the things that I gravitate to, and you mentioned eating, and certainly
Mm.
eating has been basically, I would think, the main sort of addiction I've had over 44 years. I also get the sense that we kind of gravitate to those sort of things when we're dealing with a lot, whether they are internal or external. I guess what I mean, so needless to say, you don't necessarily equate the first time you drank, but was there a time where that sort of amount started going up, and do you know the factors that kind of caused that kind of drove that?
Mm, I know because every time that I drank, I binge drank. Like there was never a gradual decrease for me. It was always a massive amount. And I didn't drink every day, but towards the end, I was drinking a lot every day. But pretty much almost every time I could count on like one hand the time I had only a drink, and it's because I wasn't in control of the situation, and
Mm-hmm.
then I would just be like itching to get more. Like I've been a binge drinker since the beginning, and I've I've blacked out almost every time too. Just about. It's just always been something. And in the beginning, I'm like, oh, I'm young, whatever. This is not a problem. I can quit anytime I want. And sometimes I'd put it down for like a week and be like, just to justify, like, I don't have a problem. But no, I've always been like a hard drinker, heavy liquor too. Like I would drink, and I drink a lot and as fast as I could often. And I was also the kind of in denial of me drinking that I was drinking away any pain. It was
Mm-hmm.
more like oh, I'm just having fun. Like there's no trauma that went on or anything, because like we didn't talk about it growing up, and my family, we still don't talk about it today.
Mm.
Like I'm a lot of us, like I'm the only one really in recovery, and really the only one who's goes to therapy, which is fine. We all have like our own ways of coping with it, but we just haven't talked much about the stuff that went on, and a lot of us really we've blocked out quite a bit of it too.
Mm. As far as your family, do you have family that still imbibe, that still have that sort of either healthy or unhealthy relationship with alcohol?
My mom still drinks. I got really upset because the last time I went home, she like is still drinking, and like talking with my sister about it, and she's like, well, she doesn't drink every day, so it's not a problem. But after you watch your mom laying on the couch for weeks because she's almost brain dead and has jaundice, like it doesn't matter to me. So
Mm.
that's like something that I'm not okay with, but I have to love her still from a distance about it. And I'm still doing some work around that to find healthy ways to deal with that, because ultimately, like, I understand the disease of addiction. Like, I
Mm-hmm.
get it, I have it, but there comes an issue with me where I will rationalize everything too. So it's kind of can get in the way of my healing, if that makes sense,
Mm-hmm.
because like I will justify her actions. But that's something I've also always done. I could justify people's harm to me, like the wrong to me, or maybe even like in my addiction, I could justify why it was okay that I hurt someone like that, or why it's okay that I'm drinking like this, like, so yeah, no, my mom still doesn't, her boyfriend still does too. Just so, I mean,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, so it's messy, but it's still okay.
Do you find that across your family, do you find anyone that's in the family that you would best consider to be a dry drunk?
um maybe like, I don't know. Maybe I don't know, they all still drink. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, but my mom definitely is. She never took any like form of recovery. When I went back home, I like the last time I went back home was the first time that I had gone actually sober, like with the program under my belt. And I was so triggered, like so triggered. So I went to like 4 meetings in 2 days. And, she had like remarks to say, like, oh, I've never been to a meeting. And I'm like, yeah, I know. And she's like, what do you guys even like do? Just read from the book. And so, we talked about it a little bit, but she's definitely like, still very angry. And like when I got there, it was like she wasn't super happy to see me, but also was happy. It's just hard to
Mm-hmm.
explain. Like it's she loves me, and I know that, but she's still kind of just a real negative person
Mm-hmm.
sometimes. I told her, I was like, um, well, the people I live with have a cat, but I like to joke around and say that it's my cat, and she's like, ew. She don't like cats, uh, but like, yeah. So it's just hard. I really love her. It's
Mm-hmm.
just hard. It's hard when you see someone you love like just that way. It's hard.
I find that I still have members of my family that have a problem, and not as bad as it used to be. But I use the term dry drunk because there are members of my family who can be best deemed that way because they still think about it, they still crave about it, they think about that sort of thing when you're out with them or whatnot. That's the first part. The second part would be how important walls are, how important boundaries are. I think as we go get through this, but also try to construct a better life for ourselves, the importance of coming up with those sort of walls and boundaries have been massively important in this life.
Yeah, I had to learn what boundaries were when I got sober. I did not understand them. I didn't know I never had them. I didn't know that no was a complete sentence. There's a lot of things like that I was just flooded with when I started paying attention to like habits and how I grew up and really why I have some of the characteristics that I do. And boundaries are still hard for me today, but they're definitely something that I do practice, and I practice them when I can. Um, so
Jim had a very interesting comment I want to bring up. Jim's drinking escalated from his first at 13 years old to drink to his last drink 27 years later. And then he said, I meant to my last drink 27 years later, so I guess that'd be 40. Um, it's amazing how much we would be gravitating that sort of thing and realize, oh, well, it's not a problem. It's not affecting me, or it's not affecting my life or my livelihood or this, that, or the other thing. And then you start going through that sort of analysis and you realize, oh my God, how many relationships have been faltered by this? How much relationship, business or professionally, has been faltered by this?
yeah, not only that, but like the types of relationships you would get yourself into in active addiction and stuff, and the behaviors and all that fun stuff that you just I mean I had no sense of self, and I just instantly lose myself to like drinking and doing whatever with whoever, because we were all drinking together. I had a lot of friends that really we were just drinking buddies, and I still have some good friends today that I drank with, but we didn't lose our friendship because I got sober. But you definitely lose a lot of that.
Jim goes on to say he cut ties with about 85% of his family because of this.
Yeah, I mean, I still talk with my family, but they don't understand really. They support me, and that's really all that matters. Like, um, it took me until when I went back home in July to tell my family. Only one person knew. Like, I wasn't telling anybody, and then a lot of it was shame, fear, uh, rejection, like all the things that our voices in our head tell us to like keep us from going anywhere with it. But uh now I feel like a lot more open about it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm tired of hiding. That a lot of that is dissipating. Like, I'm really working on embracing my fears and stuff like that, and just really letting this be a part of who I am, because it is like so.
It's amazing to think that, yeah, and I use this term all the time, that our frame is weak sometimes, and then we let things basically onset us in directions that they shouldn't go down, or things that we shouldn't be doing, or places we shouldn't go, or that sort of thing. And it's amazing that when we're susceptible to that sort of thing, how much becomes part of the onslaught, becomes part of our MO. And as you were saying before, Jaimie, how much we are basically accepting that we really shouldn't be accepting.
Yeah.
Jim says, I was married, had my first job and first child at 27 years, was married for 17 years.
Yeah, I too. Well, so because I grew up so fast, like um I didn't have my first boyfriend was like at 17, and then at 18 I met the man I actually would marry. We like things went so fast. It was like we were so codependent. We were both so toxic and like for each other, but we just didn't obviously see that, and it was just crazy. And yeah, no, that didn't last. Like, we moved out to the East Coast, Maine, because that's where his family is from, and I love his family so much. Actually, that's the only thing. Like, I still have his family, but we don't talk. He can't stand me. I'm whatever. Uh, but it was just something that happened, and like uh, drinking didn't help that either. And
Mm.
I can remember multiple occasions people would set me aside and be like, do you think that drinking's going to help you with this, or is this going to make it any better? And I just wanted nothing to do with like that. I'm like, yeah, whatever, I don't care. Like I, especially after my divorce, I drank way much more, like so much, so much, so much. It was bad.
Yeah, I mean, I think one of the things that were kind of resonant with the divorce I had back in 19, separation in 19, divorce in 20, is the amount of drinking that was on the way of the separation, that was on the way of the divorce, but not necessarily by me. Because I know in my case, right, and everybody's different, but in my case, there is a huge sort of dependency with metabolic paralyzation and basically trying to live a healthier life. I know that when I'm drinking, the weight's coming on and coming on and coming on and coming on. So I know basically putting a pause on that and stopping and saying, "Hey, I'm growing a very unhealthy addiction to alcohol. I can't thrive. I can't survive that without that sort of thing." When that becomes part of my MO, whether subconsciously or in the conscious, that was a time to end. That was late May of 2019. So I mean,
Yes.
uh, Paul had a very interesting question, and this is a quick aside, but I can understand where Paul's going with this. Is that a Zelda Triforce back there?
It is. It's one of there. Those are both paintings of mine. So yes, it is. Um,
I
I I feel you with the like. I was getting so sick when I drank too. I was in such denial that all my food sensitivities and all this indigestion and this like weight gain had anything to do with drinking. I would literally like I would try eating like everything else. I would never ever be like it's not the drinking. Like my doctor would be like, how much do you drink? I'm like, oh, you know, one or two a month, which was not true. And I'd be like so bitter and resentful with the doctor because she doesn't know what she's talking about and she can't help me. And it got so bad that like I had dropped like 40 pounds in the matter of a month or so, and people were like, are you okay? Like if you lose any more weight, you know, you're just you're kind of like you don't look good. And I was like, I'm fine. And so like I was like, yeah, they don't know why. And like today I could be like, it's probably because you were literally killing your stomach.
mm,
Like you were drinking your stomach into oblivion, but it refused to let it be that like at all. It's just it's just funny what we tell ourselves so that we can hold on to that. Like we romanticize alcohol so much,
mm-hmm,
and like what we would do to get that drink is just insane. What we would give up for that drink, like the times I've been short and rude and just uninvolved because I knew like you're getting in the way of me drinking something, or like being at functions where people I was like probably the only alcoholic like drinker in the room because everyone's like, well, probably not, but you know what I'm saying. Like it
mm-hmm.
felt that way because I'm over here like, oh my god, I want another drink. I want another drink. They still have 3/4 of a drink. Oh my god, I want another one. Like that obsession. It's
Right.
insane.
When that compulsion and obsession becomes part of your mind flow and there's no way out of it, that's when it becomes a problem. Whether it is alcohol or in my case gambling or in my case overeating, closet eating. I guess you could say closet drinking as well because you know if you're drinking not in front of family and friends, then one can say that could be closet drinking as well. I guess.
Oh yeah, I definitely have moments where like eating too. I will I would like eat something but make sure like I hid it the trash under other trash so someone couldn't see that like I bought like a whole package of Oreos and literally housed them or some stuff like that. Or like one time I waited, I don't even like McDonald's, but we've all been there, in a McDonald's drive-through line for like an hour. An hour for something that just made me feel so bad. But I like had to have it. Like I had to have it. It's like, oh my God. I kept the receipt from that trip and I wrote on it, like, this is what happens. Like, remember this trip. Like I put it in my visor so that if I see it, I could pull it out and be like, no, we don't need to go there today. you know?
This is a reminder. I see this and I'm not doing it and I'm moving right on and I can't. Yeah, I have a couple of devices, the same thing as well.
Yeah.
I mean, that
No,
board, the board first and foremost, but yeah.
yes, that's a badass board.
Thank you. Jim says most of my family would have disowned me if I hadn't been a drunk. So we talk about what friends and family have us do, and
Mm,
basically bending us one way or another. It's
yeah. I don't know. When I talked to one of my sisters about it, she's like, "Oh, I didn't think you had a problem," and I was like, "Well, you don't live with me. Like, you live on the other side of the world, and you know, it was one of those things. I was like, that's okay. Like, you don't have to think that. I think that, so that's enough for me." And then it went into that like. Well, I'm not an alcoholic. I only drink on the weekends, and I'm like, hey, I'm not talking about you right now. Like, it's cool. We don't have to we don't have to talk about that unless you want to, like, because I don't do that with people, unless they ask me, because it's a really touchy spot, I
mm-hmm.
think, to unless they directly ask me, because it would be so much easier to be like stand on a soapbox and be like, well, let me ask you a few questions and go down the checklist of things you've tried. But I don't bother. But at any time, if she were to ask me like, look, I need your help, I would be like, 100%, like, I will help you.
Yeah, I think when someone is looking for our guidance, our love, and whatnot. I mean, it's the quickest thing we can always do to help. And I think in a way it solidifies our trust in our sobriety and in our health and our aversion to compulsive gambling and whatnot. I mean, it solidifies that. And if they're willing to listen, they listen. If they're not willing to listen, we're not going to move them one direction or another unless they show the littlest of a sign that they're in desperate need of help. And then we do what we have to do.
Yeah, definitely.
Some comments real quick here. Gillyman says, "Time to venture forward. Welcome aboard. Hope you're doing well this evening." He's on mile 7 in the woods. He's probably on mile
Nice.
8 now. As soon as I brought up that comment, which was like 5 years ago. No, about 10 minutes ago. We put that up. Uh, quick note for Jim. Don't apologize for talking too much. Jim, your comments have been really great tonight. Don't apologize at all. I'm glad you're here for sure. Paul wants to
Yeah.
say, well, good for you, Jaimie. What a smart reminder with the thing up in the visor.
Yeah. I need them, like, and it's like the further I get along with stuff, the more like I know, like, a lot of this really is action, because so much before was like, I'm I'm gonna, and then I never would. So it's really just a lot of doing, and I have to remind myself a lot. And with food and stuff, it's still a really big struggle for me, and that's something that I will get there. I know I will, but I also every now and again I'll rewrite, why do I want to stay low carb? Why do I want to minimize my sugars? Why do I want to minimize my caffeine? Just because of all the other, for me anyway, the mental side effects that come with it, the fatigue, the like joint pains, like from overeating carbs and processed foods, the lethargy. I won't do anything. I'll have no motivation. It's like drinking, but with food for me. If I'm not healthy or like pacing myself or taking care of myself, it really does show. So like, there's still other ways. Like getting sober has been really helpful for that. I don't like drink on an empty stomach anymore and binge and then eat a bunch of food at night and throw it all up anymore. Like, but
Mm-hmm.
there's still other things I know that are on my horizon that I'm slowly working on changing. Like the whole easy does it. I have to remind myself, especially since in the beginning, like I wanted to change everything and it was like way too overwhelming. So now I'm just kind of learning, like what you hear, like when people say, I will do what my higher power puts in front of me first, whether it's what I want to do right now, that's not really up to me. And it's kind of like just trusting and letting, your higher power help you with that.
Yeah, we can't forget about the power of God and our higher power, and basically what the universe draws us to, for sure. There was something we were talking about when we did our pre-interview yesterday about as far as food consumption and whatnot. You cannot outrun your diet. You want to talk about that for a second?
Yeah. So, I mean, along with drinking too, I would exercise so much too because I used to weigh like 200 pounds, and that's not heavy by any means, but for for me it was. I wasn't comfortable, I wasn't happy, and so I would exercise a lot, and I couldn't understand why I wasn't losing weight. But then I didn't realize that like all these foods that like the world claims as healthy really are just like full of sugar, like energy bars or yogurt. Oh my god, yogurt is a culprit. You think you're being healthy eating certain yogurts, but they have so much sugar and it's like kills your like gut biome and stuff. I went into like a whole spiral with things like certain foods and anti-inflammatory foods and foods that are just bad for you, and it was like a lot of stuff that I was eating, and it was like kind of like a aha moment because a lot of people don't realize that what they're eating is not healthy, and we're just forced, like made to believe that the way we eat today is healthy, and it's so much more affordable too, and some people can't help it, and it's just kind of sad to me,
Well, we
like
talk
all these
about.
chronic diseases
Mhm.
because of the way our grocery markets are. It just makes me sad.
Yeah, and I think that's why we have the phenomenon of living in food deserts, in the sense that there is no quality produce, there is no quality meats for people to purchase and live some sort of semblance of normal, normal sort of intake, normal sort of diet, normal sort of nutrition. It's become a real problem.
Yeah, I don't know why I feel like on one of your shows someone was saying they only buy from like their farmer stand or something, but
We were talking about that last week, in fact. It was last week or the week before, as far as going to farmers markets and food shares and whatnot, and how healthy it is, and you get that sort of stronger sense of farm to table on what you're putting on your table is actually locals. It's from the farm down the street or the orchard down the street, and you're living a more healthier lifestyle because as there's not massive transport. You know exactly where it came from, and you know it's not being treated because you know exactly what farm it came from, what garden it came from.
yeah, and there's something for me anyway. I mean, I've been cooking for myself for a long time, but there's something about like being able to make your own meals and know exactly what's in it. Like going out to eat is pretty nice on occasion, but because I have so many issues with food, it's really nice to like make my own stuff. I can have it my way. I know what's in it, and there's usually leftovers, and so yeah, I like cooking meals.
Yeah, if you can make a home cooked meal and you can make yourself, stuff that's not coming out of a box, that you can recite the ingredient list of 5 or less or 10 or less, and you don't it doesn't have yellow 5 in it or any sort of weird chemical in it. You know exactly what you're putting in. You're doing yourself the best favor you can.
Yeah.
Sean says, Jaimie, you rock. Thank you for sharing your strength.
Thank you.
And then he continues on and says, thank you, John, for everything you do to raise awareness on all these different issues. Sean, it's an honor and pleasure to do that. And I'm really glad to see you tonight for sure. And then one other thing he said, replacing one addiction for another is so common.
Yep. Yes, it is. Mine in the beginning was definitely junk food, but I know a lot of that was pause and all the sugar I wasn't having anymore, so I needed it. Like, I needed it. I feel like going down the grocery stores today is not as bad
Mm-hmm.
with seeing like Reese cups and being like, I have to have all of that now. But in the beginning, I was like, I just ate so much. But it was also like, for me, it was a way to help with my grief of like, feeling so full of shame that like I can't drink anymore, or feeling less than, and really kind of grieving silly things like, well, now I won't be able to do this with this person, or like, oh, I'm really going to miss having like some seltzers on the deck in the like summertime, or this, all the things that come with not drinking, which today I don't miss that at all. But in the beginning, yeah, that was definitely a grieving process. Like, there's a lot of change, a lot of habits that I've formed around it, like events. I couldn't do a lot of anything without needing to have something to drink before. Like, I would make
Mm.
sure I had something to drink before on my way to something before they knew. I would have a few drinks before, like, the person I was seeing got home, so that they thought, when I came home, I'd be like, oh, I just made a drink. And really, I was on like my fourth or fifth, but they wouldn't know, kind of stuff. Like, just the hiding part stuff. But I needed drinks to talk to people, to feel like I was something, that like I was enough or important and all this stuff, which is not true. But that's like growing up as a very low self-esteem type of person. That's a big reason I drank, actually,
Mm.
because the way I grew up, I was made to believe that like I wasn't enough. Like, the what I endured, I had all these people's voices in my head telling me these things that I believed, that really were part of my identity for a while. Like,
Mm.
it's just like, it's like crazy to me sometimes, but like I don't have to do that today. I'm still working on it, but
No.
yeah.
But again, it's a work in progress, right? We are always learning, and when we learn and we keep on working on ourselves, we're growing, and that's the best thing we could possibly do. Sue
Yeah,
said,
I always say that I will learn until the day I die, because you know.
Sue says, Jaimie, you're doing great. Keep up the awareness you're doing. Love you, girl.
Thanks, Sue. She's an OG too.
And then Brad says, get the graphic up there. Foods can get you. You eat this food for this ailment, and it's really bad for another aspect.
Yeah, it doesn't really make the pain go away at all. It's still there, and then you're just sad that you ate all of that, and you're still sad from what you were sad from before, most of the time. And I'm not saying like, I always think back to like intentions and motives and stuff. Like, it's okay to have a treat, but what is my motive for eating this right now? Like, it's 11 o'clock at night. Do you really need this slice of cake with whipped cream? Like, why are you even, like, are you really hungry, or you just know it's in the fridge, so that's all you can think about? Because I am that kind of person. If I know, like, if I know it's there, I can't forget. I might forget what I needed to do, but I won't forget that there's cake in the fridge.
Sarah says, it's so tricky to figure out those voices in your head that don't belong to you. So basically, when we basically negative talk ourselves out of any sort of healthy or healthful situation. Very good point, Sarah.
Yeah, no, that is a good point. I remember someone actually the other day at work saying that, like, I'm not smart, I'm stupid. I was like, no, you're not. And they're like, I go, have, like, why do you feel that way? He was like, oh, because I just always have felt stupid. I'm like, someone else is making you feel stupid. And he's like, no, it's me. I go, yeah, we don't grow up thinking we're stupid until someone makes us feel like we're stupid, like, at all. It's really, though, you're not born, to me anyway, and that's just how I feel. You're not born with these beliefs about yourself. They're given to you, like, and it's up to you to figure out later what you want to take on from that or not. Like, we are products, a lot of products of our environment most of the time. You know what I mean?
We talk about the nefarious people, places, and things that come into our life that could throw us off of our frame, but the positive, the beneficial people, places, and things and events can make us who we are. That was a really good point. There was a couple of comments I want to bring up real quick, in the sense that Sean says LT talks a lot about having milkshakes or chocolate in early recovery to help combat that sugar craving. Helps early on, and then you can scale it back eventually.
Yes, that's what I wasn't, like, at first I was so hard on myself about it till I really learned like why I was needing sugar. Then I was like, oh, it's fine. Like, it's fine for now.
Sarah also said from before, eating locally also helps develop a better food economy. So we talk about trying to help the economy of farms and gardens and whatnot. It definitely helps with that respect too.
Mm.
Gilly says, love the podcast and now the library. Come on up now. I'm clicking the wrong button. Love the podcast and now the library of podcasts to listen from a legitimate practitioner and not a theorist. Discipline equals freedom.
does. That's what a lot of it. And when I think of you, JB, actually, you kind of embody discipline. And when I look at your board and all the stuff you're food tracking every day, like that's really, that's really what that is right there. It's amazing to me.
It's also a question of we're talking about reaching a bottom and realizing that we have to do something that will get us as far away from that sort of lifestyle that we ever were. I mean, I think about what my life was. I think about, being 480 pounds. I think about, drinking every single day. I think about trying to find every free moment to go to the neighborhood casino to gamble. And like, I had to do something to change that. Otherwise, I'm going to die. I'm going to die physically. I'm going to die mentally. I'm going to die financially. And that's what this has been about over the last 30 some odd months.
Yeah, definitely the need for change. And like, it is a commitment. Like, recovery is a commitment. And I always laugh at people when they say they don't have time for it. It's like the worst excuse in the world to me. I mean, I you can always make time for that. It's if you want it, you have time. It doesn't matter to me like, oh, I can't take 1 hour out of my 7 days a week to go to a meeting. I just don't have time. Well, you're scrolling on Facebook for like 4 hours, so you do have time. And like, my sponsor and I talk about that too. Like, it's just another excuse we tell ourselves. It gets us off the hook, right? Like, in a sense, or just it's another way of avoiding. To me, that's just one of my things, I guess.
It's amazing what good people do, though. LT says Sean got me through, and I gotta tell you, Sean is an incredible person, and I agree with you wholeheartedly, LT. Sean's an incredible, incredible person. Marilyn says, "Thank you, Jaimie, for your strength and hope that you give others." I have to concur with that. You definitely give a lot of strength and a lot of hope, and I gotta say this, a lot of love. You're incredible, Jaimie.
Thank you. I
Sarah
appreciate it.
Sarah's reminding us that you weren't born feeling stupid. Exactly. So it's right. It's no need to put yourself down and say, "Oh, I'm stupid," or "I'm not going to look at it." No, you're not. You're learning, right? There's no reason to call yourself that sort of thing.
Yeah, heard something that was like, it would be amazing if when you messed up, you didn't say like, oh, automatically default to you're stupid, to like, oh, let me try again. Oh, it's okay. I just made a mistake. Or that's fine. Everybody, messes up. Or like different types of positive talk instead of defaulting to that like self-destructive thinking, which is easy to do.
Hmm. Sue says there's no other option.
Nope.
Jim says junk food is still a big part of his recovery. I might die and unhealthy, but I won't die drunk. That's still a win for me.
That's right. That is okay.
I think that goes back to the conversation we've had about firefighting and managers in life and realizing what is the chief addiction and trying to work from the inside out to try to fix these things. Like, when you go down these roads, you're not fixing everything all at once. You're figuring out what is the most pressing of the issues, and you start working on that. And you also try to figure out why exactly you gravitated to that in the first place.
Yeah, I feel like it's the opposite of tackling debt. Little ones at first.
Right.
You like literally jump into the pile. I feel like for me too, it's like my mental health was huge. Didn't realize how much I was drinking because of mental health, and how much like I don't want to be a dry drunk. Like, getting sober is not enough for me. Like, the program has been such a godsend to my life, in therapy and just all that stuff, that I'm like, whew, without that and other people, of course, like I would not be making it right now.
Yeah, I totally agree with you there for sure. Sammy, who probably said this like an hour ago, says, "Hey, John. Hey, Sammy. Hope you're doing well. Hope you're having a great evening over by you." And then there was a couple of other comments here in a sense that Sean says, "I don't have time," and my sponsor would say, "But you had time to drink 24/7."
Yep. That's what my sponsor, it's like her biggest pet peeve is one of those. Don't tell me you don't have time.
There's always time to do the best thing you possibly can do for yourself. It's if I don't say this on every show, then I'm saying it on every other show, but it's the airplane mask when the cabin pressure goes out. You got to cover yourself first to get the oxygen and then take care of the rest of the row, but you got to make sure that you could breathe first before you do that.
Yes. It's funny because another way I grew up, it was very selfish to take care of yourself. So when I realized that I put everybody first always, and to learn how to take care of myself first was like such a concept. I'm like, this feels wrong. It feels selfish. And now I'm like, okay, I get it, because like so much of what I do depends on if I'm taking care of myself. I can't be fully available for people if I'm not fully available for myself. And it took me a while to understand what that meant. And like, I get it now, but it was definitely a hard concept for me to grasp.
Mm. I am. It's really funny because I think more times than not, and depending on how old you are and how old your family is, especially the family that you grew up with, how the sort of effect will basically gravitate to you or basically be part of your life. And for one reason or another, it becomes part of your MO. And sometimes it's okay and sometimes it's not, right? Especially when we talk about the things that we were harmed with our addiction. Like, I'm not gonna say every single thing was related to that, but like we have to be very much objective as far as, okay, this is what I used to do, but that's certainly not now. And I'm not going to dwell upon what happened previously, but I'm going to learn from it and I'm going to move forward from it.
Yes, definitely a lot of unlearning. That's what sobriety is. And therapy and everything. Just taking those and like rewriting your tapes and learning that a lot of things, yeah, weren't really you, but then figuring out what parts kind of still are, like what you want to still take with you and what you would rather do without.
Yeah, and I think learning, more importantly, the importance of self love and also self realization and self actualization in the sense of journaling and meditation and therapy and how important that plays a role in all of this.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing lately with my therapist. We've been doing working through a self love worksheets and activities. I have a book for it. And because, like, I also have trauma therapy, but every time we'd bring it up, I just couldn't get to that point because, like, it was more like a flagellation and shame. And I really wanted to tackle that stuff from a place of like self love and not just from feeling like so low about it
Hmm.
or like, yeah, making it worse than it should be. Every time I just felt like I wasn't super ready.
Sean says, so true. We got to take care of ourselves and then we can help others even more. It's being selfish to be unselfish.
Yeah, definitely. Because I can think of a lot of the times when I was in a bad mood or just stuck in that one of those modes, and just the way you project on people. And I mean, especially like in my addiction and stuff, like it's just bad. Like there's moments you just, I don't know, it's just, yeah, you have to take care of yourself because you never know. And even in those ways, like when I'm having a bad day, I try to remember that like it's no one else's fault and I can't treat people that way. Sometimes I, forget still, but yeah.
Jim says, there's always time and it's never the wrong time to do the next best thing.
Yes, you can change anything you want all the time. I say that.
Mm-hmm.
Like what, especially like what other people expect from you and what you expect of yourself. Like people are always changing. Like some things stay the same, but we're always like growing and changing if we're working to like towards ourselves. And what I might feel about something today, I might not, next year. So
Mm. Mm-mm. I think with respect to recovery and respect to the 15-month journey that you've been on, how strong has your family and your friends locally been in the 15-month journey?
Really good, yeah. I've met a lot of great people actually. Like this, it's one of the best things about recovery is people. I can't do without people. Like, uh, I mean, meeting you and everyone from the recovering addict community, and even starting out like at Sober James, like and us transferring that way. Like, it's been amazing. And then the people I have locally, like some great connections, all because I got sober. Like, and it's just such a reward at how much I've gotten from it. And even though, like, getting sober during COVID and stuff was like, oh God, what do I do? And but I found all these great things because of it. I don't know that I would have even bothered um, with it if COVID had never happened. Like I actually feel kind of, even though it's sad and it's hard, I still feel a grateful piece for that. I would still be in the job I hated before that I drank a lot at, and I'd probably still be drinking, and I'd probably be living alone and drinking even more. Like, so a lot of great things have come from it. And number one, though, is definitely the people.
Yeah. We talk about what a life changing, what a generational changing event that was. It's something that we haven't seen since the Spanish flu and whatnot. We also think about a lot of the great moments of opportunity that it's provided us, even though we had to do things completely different to get to a place we needed to go, even if we didn't realize that we had to get there at the onset of the Backstreet Boys reunion tour. I
Yeah,
want to make sure I got that in.
good. It's not complete without that.
No, it's not complete without that. And then, of course, Sean brings it up. As a fellow person who got sober during the Backstreet Boys reunion tour, I approve of this message. I guess Backstreet's back, all right. Got that.
Dun, 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 dun.
Right. Um, I would say I, the events of 2020 have really forced, not really forced, but really opened my eyes to one, trying to solidify the work that I started in 2019, but then moreover telling my story. And I look at the two different groups that come and watch my show and whatnot. I look at, the recovery groups in that of LT, and that of Sober James, and that of Nicole. But then I also look at my friends over in the live streaming groups, whether it's live streaming pros or whatever anyone else is doing over there, and David Foster and what he's doing in Impartial Geek. I mean, everybody over there has been very, very influential, very caring, very supportive, very loving. And I must say this again, I am thankful of all of you. I am definitely thankful and blessed for all of you, and I love all of you, without question.
Yes, I agree 100%. It's like, and there was a phase for a while that I was like hiding from those types of communities too, because I was feeling some kind of way, like stuck in like a self-loathing thing. But then I got back into it because I'm like, I really need to focus more on my recovery. If I keep with this mindset, like I'm gonna get drunk over this. So it's been one of the best things ever. Like I really do love engaging with all the people, like all the they're there when you need them. Like
Mm-hmm.
that's the thing. Like so much of our life in addiction was showing up when you had stuff to drink, or not showing up at all. And I feel like I find so much more reliable people in my life that will show up when you need it. And that's a lot of like the Discord is always great for that too. Any of you, I know I could be like, guys, I need help. Like, please help me. And you guys would. And I could call friends. Like, it's so much better. Like, I don't have to do this alone anymore. Like, I can pick up the phone today, whereas like in the beginning I definitely wouldn't. Like, but today I know that if I want help, I have it everywhere, and it's such a blessing. Like, it really is.
Marilyn says you find you have good friends when you get sober, and then she continues to say true friends that really care about you.
Yeah, exactly.
And Jaimie, you're definitely, without question, one of those people there in my life, one of my best friends, one of my best people I look to in this recovery, but also just in general. You're an incredible person, Jaimie.
Thank you. So are you.
Thank
I
you.
always remember some of like the beginning, some of our phone talks together and stuff like that through just helping each other through stuff. And yeah, you've been a big part of my recovery. Your channel is amazing. Love
Thank you.
watching it. I love all the people that you like do your shows with and stuff, like and Paul, Matt, Callie, Sam, like all of them. It's fun. It's fun to follow. Like I don't.
Elo. We got Elo as well. How you doing, Elo? You say goodbye, I say Elo. Elo, Elo. How you doing, Elo?
You don't know why you say goodbye.
I mean, Elo is definitely one of I think of that group, and like there's so many great minds over there that are teaching me things I would never even thought of. And Elo and Callie and Paul and the other Paul and Matt Haas. I'm thankful for them too.
Yeah, you can definitely learn a lot just listening too.
Not to mention Laurie and David. We can't forget those two as well. Um, Elo says, "Hello, Elo, Jaimie, and you, my friend." And then he's saying hello to everybody in here. One more question for you, and I'm very big on this because it's part of my board. But are there any adages or any sort of expressions that you gravitate to that you think of every single day outside of your thankfulness, outside of the things that you make a very chief note about realizing each and every day? What are some of the adages that you grow to each and every day?
Definitely the Serenity Prayer every day for sure. This is a hard one because there's so many. Uh, just for today, only like all I have is today. You know, things like that. Like I am enough. This is the best choice. Like I chant mantras in my head like all day to avoid, as best as I can, the negative self talk. I just cling on to like there's so much better things for me today because of my recovery. And just looking back from a year ago, like every day I wake up and I think like just how far I've come, and like how much I don't want anything else for myself but than a life um, in recovery. Like this is like part of who I am now.
Yeah, I mean, I can't forget. I can't forget just going simply saying one day at a time, one step at a time, one foot in front of the other. It's not going to be done completely today, but as long as I move towards a situation in a place where I am better off than I was previously, I know I'm doing the right thing.
Yeah, if I don't drink, then I'm having a pretty good day. Like my worst, like I also love the phrase like my worst days sober are better than my best days drunk, because it's so true. It's so true.
Yeah, that goes without saying. I think when our mind is confounded and our addictions are confounding us to do things that we should not be doing, and then when we can work free from that and live a much healthier lifestyle, one that stands a chance of growing into something that is so beneficial and so important, not only for yourself but for so many. That's you can't do better than that without question. Sean says simple, not easy. That's right.
Yeah, it's not easy. Like a lot of people, not a lot of people, many people give up, especially like when cravings hit in and stuff, and it's just like the pain is so unbearable. Like, ugh. But yeah, I'm glad I never gave up.
I'm glad you didn't give up either. I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you keep on coming. I'm glad you're part of these groups. I'm glad you are doing the best thing you can. But most importantly, I'm so thankful for your friendship.
Yes, I am grateful for you also, and thanks for what all you do. Like seriously, it's a big help. The people you bring on and stuff too. There's always so much to learn from everyone. It's amazing to me.
Jim says, I know that doing the right thing got me here, and doing the next right thing will keep me here. That's right, Jim.
Yes, Jim always has amazing things to say too. Pretty much everyone does. Like I'm inspired by all of you. Like that's the best mindset shift for me. In active addiction, it would be envy, it would be jealousy, it would be like, because I can't put myself out there, and because I'm so self-loathing, that I would just have all these bitter feelings. But today it's like it's a source of inspiration. I get encouraged by people, and just seeing everybody build each other up, it's like it's contagious to me. Like I just love it. Everyone's here for everyone, and it's like it's awesome.
Sue says, thank you, JV and Jaimie. Love you both. We love you, Sue. Big time.
Love you, Sue.
And Sean, he says, experience, strength, and hope. Thank you, Jane. Thank you, John and Jaimie. Thank you, Sean, for what you're doing. Thank you for all the music that you put out there, but also the content that you're producing. Sean, you're definitely an inspiration to us all, and for us all, rather. Thank you.
Yes, definitely. Go check out his channel if you haven't yet, if you want to listen to some good music.
He's incredibly talented. I'll say that. That's for sure.
Yes, he is.
Any final thoughts, Jaimie, before we put a giant bow on us?
No, I mean, thanks everyone for watching. Thanks for letting me do this. This has been a big help in my fear of public speaking. Lots of and around like my story and figuring out like that piece. Like I remember like first getting sober, and I'm like, all these people talking about this stuff, so like writing in front of a computer like I was born on August 18th, like just silly stuff. I'm like, no, I can't do this right now. Like, so it was really cool to kind of start unfolding a bit of that. And I appreciate you taking the time and allowing me to fumble over my words and fidget and do this. So I thank you so much.
Jaimie, you are absolutely extraordinary, and this was absolutely a treat and a half, and I really thank you for doing the show tonight. And I really love your story, but more importantly, I love. Wow! I knocked my microphone over. See, boom. See, I was good for an hour by this time.
Drop.
Mic drop. That was my mic drop.
Like, you were
Jaimie,
there. You were early mic drop.
I love you. Thank you. Thank you for jumping on tonight, and even the Blue Yeti that was tipping over, that I'm sure will be clipped in and will probably be yeah. Thank you, Jaimie.
Just keep it as it is. It's fine.
Have a good one, Jaimie. Appreciate it.
You too. Bye, guys. Bye, everyone.
That was Jaimie, ladies and gentlemen. What a great story, and such a great story that I tipped my microphone over. So that should tell you everything you need to know, because that's how powerful she is. Such a great heart, such a great mind, such a just incredible person. Couple of quick comments that jumped on here real quick. Jim says, I'll come on yours. Yeah, Jim, the door's always open. If you want to do this show, please let me know. You can send me an email at theventureforward@gmail.com. I should probably put that graphic up for a second, shouldn't I? Here it is. Yeah, anybody who's interested in telling their story about sobriety and trying to battle the things that we're battling, whether it is sobriety or co-addiction or codependency or obesity or gambling or drug, whatever, right? Any of that. My door's always open. Email me at theventureforward@gmail.com. We would love to have you on the show, because everybody has a story to tell. And you'll find more times than not that a lot of our stories are similar. And it would be an honor to have you on the show. So Jim and Sean and everybody else who wants to talk and wants to tell their story, you can do so. You definitely can. I would love to have you on for sure. A couple more comments in here, in the sense that there's a heart, and there's a peace sign, and there's a praying. Jim, right back at you. Don't know why my graphics just got really small. Nah, that's better. And then Elo says bye to Jaimie, and Sue says, so incredible she is, with 3 hearts. I agree. She is an incredible person. Sue, you are an incredible person as well, as all of you are. So on that, we will do what we do on Fridays in another episode of VF Talks at 5:15 Eastern, 2:15 Pacific on Friday, where we talk about anything and everything. And we have a good time doing it with Matt and with Paul and with anyone else who wants to jump on and have fun talking about anything and everything. Love that. And then next Tuesday at 6:30 Eastern, 3:30 Pacific, we're going to have an episode called Wrapping Up the Summer. We're going to talk about the episodes that we did this summer, which are a bit different than what we normally do, but also talk about what the plan forward is for the Venture Forward and where I want to go as far as season 3, which will start in September. I'm looking forward to that, and I'm also looking forward to continuing this incredible project with such incredible people like you. But until next time, I'm going to say the same thing I say at the end of every Venture Forward VF Talks. Stay safe, stay sane, stay strong, stay sober. You're worth it. I'll see you Friday night at 5:15 Eastern, 2:15 Pacific for VF Talks. Have a great night. Fly be free.